Good evening. Today I'm feeling slightly better. I went out for a walk. Still pretty slow, but fresh air. It's been snowing here. I think I've said that a few times. So it's cool, crisp air. Careful not to slip because I've done that several times before too. But I'll probably be spending the evening back in my room to rest. So yesterday I read you the poem Funeral Blues, and that was written by W.H. Auden and first published in 1938, and very much unlike the previous poem written by Mary Elizabeth Fry, which had an intention of comforting the mourner. This poem rather expresses the immensity of the reader's, the reciter's grief, and wants all mourners to share this with him. The poem was written from someone's point of view who is mourning deeply, and he wants the world to mourn with him. So the lines, "Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone, silence the pianos with a muffled drum, and with a muffled drum, bring out the coffin and let the mourners come." The reciter is asking that there be utter silence in respect of the person who has died, because his coffin is about to be brought out. And in a way, this poem also begins in a commanding tone, and the command is to end all normal activities in order to feel the profound sense of loss and the need for complete silence. So the clock, which I suppose could be taken as a symbol for the passage of time, has to stop. And by cutting off the telephone, you are cutting off communication with the outside world, those who are not involved in this memorial service. And the poet is expressing his wish to freeze time and shut out the rest of the world, to just completely reflect on the intensity of the grief. And also the command to silence the pianos seems to indicate that the reciter wants any kind of celebration or dancing to end. So the image of this first verse drums up a sense of stillness and isolation in order to highlight the magnitude of the reciter's or the mourner's loss and deep grief. And the final line reveals why the world should be silent, and this is out of respect for the deceased person as their coffin is being brought out. The image of aeroplanes circling above and the use of the word moaning associates the noise of the plane with death or dying. And the idea of the plane scribbling the message on the sky, "He is dead," means that the speaker wants everybody to know that his loved one has passed away. And this grief needs to be felt by everyone and displayed in public. And it also contains the two colours white and black, which are associated with mourning, grief, and death. In the lines, "He was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong." The speaker reflects on the deceased person's role and importance in their life. And the first line seems to indicate that the person speaking has completely lost his orientation as a result of their loss, and that their life revolved entirely around the presence of the deceased. "The stars are not wanted now, put out everyone. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood, for nothing now can ever come to any good." If it hasn't been felt until now, the final verse really shows the profound extent of the reciter's grief by suggesting that even the stars, which are usually associated with beauty and wonder and guidance, are in this moment totally irrelevant. The command to pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood even further illustrates the reciter's despair by using hyperbolic language to highlight the magnitude of their loss. It doesn't come any greater than pour away the ocean, sweep up the wood that is so entire. And the concluding lines gives a sense of hopelessness and despair. And the reciter believes that the world has been completely and irreparably altered by this loss, and they can't envision any possibility of happiness or goodness in the future. So there really is no form of consolement in this poem at all. It's about deep grief and no hope of goodness in the future. I wonder if any of you have experienced grief that deep. I don't think I have. I have experienced great senses of loss, but not in connection with people dying, but more in connection of people leaving me at young ages, as a child and then as a teenager, and that was quite dramatic for me. I do remember well when my father died of cancer, lung cancer, at the beginning of the 1980s. I spent time with him after he'd had his first operation, visiting the hospital every day with my stepmother. And that was quite a big ward. I think there were about, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but it seems like at least 12 beds in there. Probably weren't that many, I don't know. And you didn't actually see people die, but you realised they had because they weren't there anymore. And my father was sort of becoming a completely different person in front of my eyes. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there just before he died. So when I came back to England, I saw him in his coffin, and that was very... I can't really think of words to describe that. That was, well, yeah, something I can't describe. And while I was in Germany, I had been living in Germany at that time and still am, and was informed that he had died. I remember not feeling anything and being quite devastated that I wasn't able to feel anything. I wasn't able to cry. I wasn't able to express my loss, and I sort of pretended to do that because I knew that was what was expected of me. And it took about, I think it was about 7 years until that really came out. So yes, I suppose you could say I have experienced that degree of loss, but in a different way. So the poem I'm going to read today is called The Snow Fairy, written by Claude Mckay. And in the book it's a 2-sonnet poem. And in the book there is only the first sonnet, but I have decided to read both of them. And I'm trying to get on a slightly lighter note here after having led you into such deep, dark feelings. Trying to get out of that corner a little bit now. So, the Snow Fairy poet engages with themes of nature and dreams, and some elements of creative magic. Yes, it's all very dreamlike, so perhaps you'll like it. The Snow Fairy by Claude Mckay, who lived from 1890 to 1948. Throughout the afternoon, I watched them there, snow fairies falling from the sky, whirling fantastic in the misty air, contending fierce for space supremacy. And they flew down a mightier force at night, as though in heaven there was revolt and riot, and they, frail things, had taken panic flight, down to the calm earth, seeking peace and quiet. I went to bed and rose at early dawn, to see them huddled together in a heap, each merged into the other upon the lawn, worn out by the sharp struggle, fast asleep. The sun shone brightly on them half the day. By night they stealthily had stolen away. And suddenly my thoughts then turned to you, who came to me upon a winter's night, when snow sprites round my attic window flew, your hair dishevelled, eyes aglow with light. My heart was like the weather when you came. The wanton winds were blowing loud and long. But you, with joy and passion all aflame, You danced and sang a lilting summer song. I made room for you in my little bed, took covers from the closet fresh and warm, a downful pillow for your scented head, and lay down with you, resting in my arm. You went with dawn, you left me ere the day, the lonely actor of a dreamy play.